Welcome everyone to the Legendary Strength Podcast. Today I have a special interview for you lined up. I have my new friend, my new partner in strength training, Travis Stoetzel, on the line. Thanks for joining us, Travis.
Hey, thanks for having me, Logan. Like I was telling you before, I really enjoy doing these interviews, and happy to be on your call here, man.
Yeah, our mutual friend Tyler introduced us, and once I saw some of the things you could do, I was like, you'd be a good guy to have on here. So I want to get into some of your training information today.
Definitely, man.
So for people not familiar, and actually I don't know that much of your backstory myself, so could you go into a little bit how you got into training and all that stuff, without taking up the entire 30-minute call?
Sure. I'll do like the 5-minute version.
Sure.
Basically, just looking back, the way I got started at a real early age. My dad got me into a lot of body weight training. He got me into wrestling back when I was in 4th grade. I can't recall how old I was, but he had me doing like isometrics, a lot of calisthenics, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, all that different stuff, and it just kind of grew on me, and I enjoyed training from a young age. And then he got me involved in weightlifting when I got in 7th grade. Started getting serious with that, and then it just came along with playing sports in high school. I played football, wrestled, like I said, and baseball, and then on into college, I played baseball and football. And when I graduated college, I played a few years of professional indoor football and tried out for some different NFL teams and things like that. So I stayed heavily involved with training. And then after I was done, giving my all to, try to play in the professional ranks, I decided to switch it around and step on the other side of the line and be the guy, preparing people, to take to the next level, and whether that be, training for sports or, just getting, in better shape for, fitness, for life. And so I got started training. I trained at a big Globo gym, and I was there for about close to 3 years when I finally got out of there. Me and my best friend Joe, we finally decided to leave the gym and started my own gym, the Forged Athlete. I've been in there for 3 years now, and it's grown. It's still growing and getting stronger every day. And that's kind of where I am today. Is own my own gym, and we do all kinds of crazy stuff. I train athletes. I have a special deal with the military where I train Marines. I get new enlisted Marines ready to go for actual boot camp. So they come in and train in my gym, and just different people like that. People that are serious about training. They want to train and just take their fitness to a new level. And just they love it. So that's kind of where I am now with my training, man.
Okay, awesome. Got a few questions off of that. Would you say that it sounds like you've been an athlete your entire life, but back when you got started, your dad getting you started with that, would you say that really built the foundation for, really having that strength and fitness throughout your life?
Definitely. And it's hard for me, I guess it's hard for me to relate with people when they can't do one single push-up. Like when I see these, and this is something that just, kind of pisses me off is, when these Marines come in, and we have these Marines, like 17, 18-year-old kids, and they can't even do a set of 5 push-ups with good form, or they can't even do one single pull-up. And it just blows my mind because, I was doing pull-ups, at a young age, 4th grade, just cranking out pull-ups. But, and it's hard for me just to kind of relate with that. But just going back to that, it was just instilled in me real young just to, have that basic strength. You should be able to do push-ups. You should be able to do pull-ups. And, it serves as the basis to everything else that you do strength-wise. I'm sure you, I mean, you know that as well as I do. I mean, if you can't do push-ups, squats, pull-ups, rows, different variations of bodyweight movements, you're not going to be good to go. Lifting a barbell or lifting dumbbells or anything like that. So I mean, bodyweight strength is just very, very important.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I came from the flip side of that. There was a point, I was real weak growing up when my brother tells me, I don't remember this myself, but he was just started training me because he got into bodybuilding and all that. That's what he was exposed to back then. But there was a point when I couldn't do a push-up. And I actually remember in 8th grade not being able to do a pull-up. So I know that it can suck to be in that place, but wherever you start, you can build from there. I'm very interested. What sort of program do you put these Marines through?
Well, it's kind of controlled chaos, so to speak. When they first started coming to us, they didn't have any sort of program. Their recruiting officers were just kind of just beating the crap out of them, so to speak, and there was just no rhyme or reason for what they were doing. They were just
how the military goes, right? With their
training. So when I approach it, it's still a progressive sort of manner. I've got like 40 to 50 guys at one time, so a lot of the stuff that I do is based around intervals. So we'll do a lot of body weight stuff. We'll work some sandbags, and as far as like resistance goes, we'll just do a lot of like partner training. So might have a guy carrying a guy on his back. Once they get up to a certain level, they can start doing squats with their partner, lunges, stuff like that. But with that many people, training 40 to 50 guys at one time, I set everything out interval, like I was saying. So for example, just to give you kind of a look at like a 3-week program I might put them through. Week 1 we might be doing intervals, 30 seconds of work with 15 to maybe even 30 seconds of rest, and then I'll put them through a bunch of different variations of movements and stuff like that, and then we'll come back week number 2, and I'll increase that to 45 seconds of work, and decrease the rest. Maybe keep the rest at 30 seconds or maybe decrease it to 15 seconds. And then 3rd, 4th week, kind of depending on how guys are progressing, we might go up to minute rounds. So 60 seconds of work, with very, very short rest periods. And, we get it pretty intense in there. But one of the main things I'm always focusing with those guys is, good technique. Because if they're training with the best technique they can, it's going to obviously make the exercise harder when you're using the correct technique, and you're not as strong as you can be. Whereas a lot of those military guys, when they're doing exercises, they're just trying to barrel through it. So their technique and their form is just god awful. And so that's one of the main focuses I really key in on with those guys. Is I don't care if you can. I would much rather have them do 5 solid push-ups than like 50 half-rep push-ups. That's not going to get them any better. So, form and technique, we really focus in on that. But, it's still really intense in there. And that's kind of the way I approach it with the different intervals. And we might do like timed reps, like AMRAP sets. Like, okay, you got 2 minutes to bang out as many, body weight squats or, push-ups or pull-ups, different things like that. So that's kind of how I approach that.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds like when you got large groups of people, just keeping everything, on a time-based, like circuit interval status, that seems to work best. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. Can you tell us a little about I guess, your current training, what your goals happen to be, what you're working on?
Yeah, for me, I've been getting involved with just competing in CrossFit the last couple of years, and that's really evolved my training. Looking back a couple years ago, I was just really into the hardcore garage warrior type training, and so I actually went away from training with the barbell for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was just doing a lot of kettlebell training, body weight training, and then doing stuff with sandbags. And I got strong as hell. I was in insane shape. And when I started, I was asked to do the the CrossFit Open a couple years ago, and I was like, this stuff will be easy. I'll just come in and dominate this stuff, and it just opened my eyes to some different weaknesses that I had, and a lot of it had to do with just high rep Olympic weightlifting and stuff like that. And so a couple years back, I wanted to get serious with this CrossFit, competing in CrossFit, because it's something just to keep me going. Since growing up, always being involved in a competitive sport, I had kind of a lapse of time there where I wasn't, involved in any type of competitions or anything like that. So I did a bodybuilding show, and I really didn't. I did well in my show, but it wasn't the type of training that I wanted to do. I just felt like, my athleticism and that part of me was kind of, going away. So I turned back to the performance training, and like I said, my training's really evolved in time. So doing a lot of stuff just to prepare myself for the CrossFit Open and the regionals coming up. Like I said, the last 2 years I competed. I've gotten really close to making it to the actual CrossFit Games, which the way it works, if people aren't familiar, just in a nutshell, you have to do the Open first, and then there's 17 different regions around the country, and each region will take the top 60 guys, and then you got to place in the top 3 at your region, and then the top 3 go on to the CrossFit Games, and that's the stuff that you see on like ESPN and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it's super competitive, but what I've been doing is it's kind of like I mentioned earlier, controlled chaos, so to speak. So with CrossFit, there's a lot of you're kind of training for the unknown. It's kind of, it's like, what are they going to make you do for this next workout? A lot of times I just think they're seeing how close they can get you to death. So, you got to have a high level of conditioning, high level of strength. You got to be very efficient in the movement. So one of my main focuses has just been to hone in on my Olympic lifting, because I feel the better I can become as a lifter, with the snatch and the clean and jerk and things like that, that's cross over to everything else that I do. So like back squats, front squats, deadlifts, all that stuff. And since I've done that, since I've focused more in on my Olympic lifting, all my other lifts have improved a ton without, putting too much focus in on that. But programming wise, I zero in on a main move, 3 different days a week. So I still got heavy squats in there, heavy overhead pressing, and then, deadlifting. And for deadlifting, I focus that in on, speed. So I'm doing a lot of band pulls, deadlifts with chains, things like that. And then I'll mix in, Olympic lifting pretty much every day, 4 times a week at least, in different variation of clean and jerks or snatching, assistance work and stuff like that. But as far as like my conditioning goes, that's when I have, fun, so to speak. That's where I mix in the kettlebells and, the body weight work and, just kind of the crazy, insane workout type stuff, like Thursday throwdowns and things like that I do weekly on my blog. That's where the conditioning aspect comes in. So, but that's kind of how my training's evolved over time.
Okay, cool. With the Olympic lifts, that's something that I haven't spent a lot of time on. I figure at some point in the future, but it's such a technical thing that I know like you're saying, you're training it 4 times a week to really groove in that technique and to do it. Could you go into a little more detail on that? How heavy are you going? What sort of work are you doing? That sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. My high school, as far as Olympic lifting goes, I was lucky where we had my football coach in high school. He was relatively, good with the Olympic lifts. We really didn't have many progressions with him. He just had us, power clean and clean and jerk and stuff like that, and not too much detail. So I built up a lot of bad habits, but I still generally knew how to do the Olympic lifts growing up. So as I've been doing them, I've just had to break free of a lot of bad habits. But typically, if you're looking at my schedule, Mondays, I'm always starting out with the snatch, and I'm usually doing a full snatch with that. So I'll try to get as heavy as I can every Monday. Since I'm fresh on Monday, I give myself about 15, 20 minutes, and I'll hit singles, and I'll just try to build up to the heaviest weight I possibly can for snatches, for kind of set up my week.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'll come back in, and I'll do some power clean and jerks. And then Wednesday, usually take Wednesday off as far as Olympic lifting goes. Thursdays I take off totally. Fridays I come back and I do stuff from like the hang position, so I'll do hang snatches or hang cleans, or I'll do stuff from blocks, so I'll do high hang snatch or high hang clean from the blocks, and that's really helped out a ton. And growing up, I never did any work from the blocks, and from everybody listening to this call, I would definitely learn how to do snatches and cleans from the block, above your knees, because really that's where the key is getting that barbell to your hips. And when I was younger, I was always muscling the weight up. That was one of the biggest issues with me with Olympic lifting, was I was trying to muscle the weight with my upper body.
Mm-hmm.
The Olympic lifts are just total hips. I mean, it's about bar positioning, and so that the work from the blocks has really helped me out a ton. And then typically Saturdays I'll come back in and I'll kind of test myself out. It just kind of depends. I'll usually go to a heavy, build up to a heavy 1-rep clean and jerk on Saturdays. And then I'll just kind of blend in snatch work within my workout for that stuff. But that's basically what a typical week looks like for me.
Okay. So just to clarify, you're doing CrossFit, and the whole, I guess the main thing people know CrossFit, it's like the workout of the day, and you're not really doing that. You have programming to work on your weaknesses, and within your conditioning, you do really mix it up within that. But for the most part, like the strength and skill work, that's fairly well laid out.
Yeah. So basically, what I've been doing for myself that I've been seeing the most progress with, and like I mentioned, I've been doing CrossFit for the last couple of years, kind of my own methods, so to speak, instead of doing the randomized workout of the day. Because I tried doing that for a couple months, and really, I just dropped off across the board. My strength went down, and I mean, you know as well as I do, you have to have some sort of structure in order to gain strength. I mean, you have to have some sort of progressive system. So typically what I do is it's 6-week blocks. I'm focusing in on different main movements. Like I mentioned, I'll do a block of just heavy squatting work. And so I'm going to build up in percentages. I keep that stuff the same. So if you were to look at my workouts, like the top of the block, so it's going to be main strength work and assistance work is always going to remain the same. The Olympic lifting might change up a little bit, just based on the week and just kind of how I'm feeling. Then the conditioning work, that's just going to be totally random. Yeah. Just kind of throw it in there. And like I mentioned, I'll be doing stuff with body weight, kettlebells. I might go to the track and I'm running, 400s, 800s, blending that with, kettlebells, or doing stuff with body weight for that. But the main part of the workout, that's the most important in my mind, is, building that max strength and that power work, keeping that consistent for at least 6 weeks, getting as much as you can get out of that for that 6 weeks, and then, kind of rotating things after that 6 weeks.
Yeah, because you have to be consistent with something to really develop some strength that will last more than just, I improve my technique a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like overall, I mean, you're training most days of the week. You're doing a lot of strength work with conditioning. Can you give any tips on recovery? What do you do for that so that, one, you don't get injured, but you're staying fresh and you're able to progress all along?
Yeah. Really, when it comes down to recovery, that's the key to your overall training success, so to speak. For me, I treat recovery just as as it would be another training session. So I'm constantly doing different stuff for mobility. I do a lot of prehab work, so like before my workout, I'm going through a lot of different mobility stuff. I do a lot of stuff with lacrosse ball, soft tissue work, foam rolling, different things like that. So I'm really just trying to keep myself as mobile as possible, so I avoid getting stiff. But, post-workout, I'm always hitting mobility work. Then I'm always hitting soft tissue work. So I'm hitting the areas that I typically strength train with. So, for example, if I was just doing a heavy squatting day, I'm going to be hammering the quads and the glutes, the hamstrings, with the lacrosse ball and the foam roller, and then just keeping those areas mobile as best as I can. And just mobility work has been the biggest thing. But as far as other points with recovery is just you got to make sure you're getting enough sleep. For me, I mean, competing in this CrossFit is just it's an important thing to me. So I'm usually in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm up early every day. I'm up 4:45, 4:30. 3-4 times a week, at least 5 o'clock in the morning. On the other days that I'm not up at 4:30, getting up to train my early morning boot camps. But sleep has got to be a main priority. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, they talk about overtraining, and I think it's really hard to overtrain yourself with just training. The problem that most people have is they're under recovering. So they're not getting enough sleep, they're eating like crap, they're not drinking enough water, their post-workout nutrition sucks, and it's just got to be, you got to put more focus in on just the basic recovery stuff. So get enough sleep. I try to get at least 6 hours, and I think when you combine that with solid nutrition, so eating lean and clean, very nutritious foods. I follow a Paleolithic style, diet, paleo, kind of keep it to like a 85, 15, 90, 10 rule, so to speak. So 10% of the time, I eat whatever foods I want. Me and my wife, we go out and we'll get nice dinner here and there, and I'll get the full course meal and 2 desserts. So and you can do that stuff when you stay fairly disciplined with your diet. But diet's going to be a huge thing. A lot of people overlook that, and then hydration is going to help you out big time. But one of the big things that I think has helped me as far as recovery is just alkalizing my body and focusing more in on that. So like I'm constantly sipping on for example, I got this apple cider all natural drink. I drink that all the time. I just had I'm always sipping on a green drink, so you can't see it, but I'm always sipping on some sort of green drink. So like Athletic Greens, I have that in the morning, or I'll have that in my post-workout drink. But basically, since I've really focused in on alkalizing the body, so increasing my intake of just green vegetables, just fresh vegetables, different things like that, it's just made a huge, huge difference in my ability to recover after workouts. Mm-hmm. So just hydration and alkalizing the body, it's really made a difference.
Yeah, that's good. That's not something I thought about in terms of recovery, but it makes a lot of sense to do that. So I'm gonna, I do certain things for that, but keeping that in mind, I think is good for everyone to do. I really like, and I'm paraphrasing here, I forget the exact quote, but the legendary wrestler Karl Gotch was quoted as saying, you need to work, it's Dan Gable, you need to work as hard at recovering as you do at working out. And I think, obviously you found that to be very much true, especially when you're trying to compete at an elite level. Are you, have you looked at doing different sort of strength competition? I know there's not a whole lot of stuff out there, but have you looked at doing anything besides the CrossFit games?
I've been thinking about I got to improve on my snatch, but my clean and jerk is pretty good. So I've actually thought about maybe doing some local Olympic lifting meets or something like that, just giving that a go. Or maybe I've done some powerlifting meets back in high school. I did some powerlifting meets, so those are some different things I've looked into, and I might possibly be doing here soon. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame there isn't more available out there because you and I both know there's so much you can do with strength, but it's somewhat limited in what you can do as far as competing. But
Yeah.
as you were saying, the whole aspect of competition, one, it's a great thing to drive you to excel and get that performance, but it's also a whole lot of fun to do. So I like to try to compete in certain things, but there's just isn't too much out there. So maybe we need to fix that in the future, come up with some new stuff where
create
people
something.
out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. Oh, well, we're coming up on the half-hour mark. Can you tell people that are listening about your website and maybe some resources that they may be interested in checking out?
Yeah, definitely. My website, just my personal blog, is travisstoetzel.com, and my last name's kind of crazy to spell, but that's Travis, and then Stoetzel is Stoetzel. And like I said, that's my personal blog. I'm constantly updating that weekly. Got a lot of stuff going on over there, and I'm actually in the process of revamping that blog, so it's going to be pretty kick-ass when it's done. And, things are going to be, taking off big time over there. But that's my main blog, and people can kind of look back through the archives for different training information. I'm constantly posting up different like I mentioned, Thursday throwdowns. That's something I started about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I try to do it every Thursday, but it's just kind of a quick, fast workout challenge. Like I said, typically, I'm doing those for like conditioning sessions at the end of my main workout, or it might be the full workout for that day. So it might have like a heavy strength.
Could you give an example of a recent one
Off
the top of your head?
What did we do last week? Here's a fun one. One of my favorite ones. I basically took the power clean. It's power squat clean thruster. Load up the barbell with your body weight, put 5 minutes on the clock, and get as many reps as you can with that as you can. And I came up with a nickname for that. It's called the man-childs is what I call that lift, which is basically a power squat clean thruster. So you're starting with the barbell on the ground, you power clean it up, catch it in a squat, and press it overhead. So it's an all-in-one lift. And
how many reps did you get in 5 minutes with your body weight on that?
Now that I think about it, I did. I want to say I did like maybe 20.
Yeah, it's not an easy lift. Just hearing it, I'm kind of cringing. Like, oh, I don't want to do that, but It sounds fun at the same time.
And again, it's an Olympic lift, so I mean you're doing power squat cleans, which it's a pretty technical lift. But going back to what we were talking about at the very beginning, with like just basic bodyweight strength, another very important thing is just mobility. I mean, once you improve your mobility, lifts, all of the different Olympic lifts are going to just improve automatically as well. So, that's a huge thing. But that's something that I do weekly on my blog. So it changes up all the time. So people can check out my blog there. I got a membership site, which is trainaggressive.com, and that's just my membership site. People can join that, and I post up a different series of workouts. Like right now, I'm posting up the exact workouts that I'm doing in preparation of the the CrossFit Open and the CrossFit Regionals and stuff like that. So people can see exactly what I'm doing. They can join in. There's a forum on there, and they get access to me, through my membership site. And there's a lot of other people in there that, if you like to train hard and get after it, that'd be a good place for people to go. So that's another resource. So
awesome. Well, any final thoughts? Anything we didn't cover that you'd like to add some ideas on?
Yeah, just the only other thing is, and I know you're well versed with this, is just when it comes to training and getting results. You can have the best plan in the world, you can have the ultimate blueprint or whatever, but what it ultimately comes down to is your mindset, and that's
Hmm.
something I talk about a lot. My weekly newsletter, email newsletter that I send out. I've actually started doing this for the last 3-4 weeks now, and I call it Mentality Mondays, and I just basically dig into mindset and I just talk about it. One of my phrases I like to use a lot is just to go 110% ham, and basically what ham stands for is just go hard as a mother. It's just a good mindset to have to approach when you're training or anything else in your life, with your job. You want to be successful with your job, or taking care of your family, and just being the best person you could be. It's just kind of the mindset that I've adapted, and I just express to the people that I connect with. And I think when you have your mindset set correct, everything else will play out a lot better, versus not having confidence in yourself, or not being a go-getter, so to speak. You gotta kind of let loose and just go after it. So that's probably that's the last thing I'd want to mention, is just have your mindset locked in, and just go for it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. If you don't have the right attitude, then, well, you're not going to do the work to achieve any sort of results you might wish you get. But if you just wish for something without putting that action behind it, which comes from having the right attitude to do it, then that's what brings those results. And so I've seen that 100% or 110% ham thing, but I didn't know what it stood for. Now it makes a lot
Yep.
of sense.
Now you know.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Travis. It was an
Thank you.
enlightening call. We covered some good information, and even I picked up a couple things there that I can put into action right away.
Awesome, man. Again, I appreciate it. I love doing this stuff, and hopefully, with some of the things I mentioned, it helps some people out. So
Yeah, I'll have some links down on Legendary Strength where I post the podcast here, so you can go and check out all of Travis's stuff. And I'm sure we'll be trading some guest articles and whatnot, and you'll be hearing more from Travis in the future. But be sure to go and check out his website right now.